Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Expensive Conus World Coins, Collectibles, and they're the 1966 United States quarter dollar, commonly referred to as the Washington quarter, stands as a powerful testament to the American spirit during the mid-20th century, a period rife with transformation, civil rights movements, and the global assertion of democratic ideals. Bearing the portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States, on its obverse, the coin symbolizes more than currency. It embodies a narrative of liberty, equality, and fraternity brotherhood. These three ideals, famously associated with the French Revolution, also resonate deeply with the principles upon which America was founded. The term liberty, inscribed boldly above Washington's head, reflects not only personal freedom but the enduring struggle for civil liberties that defined the 1960s in America, particularly the efforts to end racial segregation and to achieve voting rights for all citizens. The fictional attribution to the République lagrifule, a symbolic republic created to represent universal democratic values, serves here as a metaphor for the idealized version of governance where justice, peace, and equality reign supreme. The reverse of the 1966 quarter showcases the majestic American bald eagle, wings spread, clutching arrows of war, and an olive branch of peace, hovering over the words United States of America and quarter dollar, with e pluribus unum out of many, one inscribed, a motto that mirrors the idea of fraternity, unity in diversity. Though the coin lacks a mint mark as Philadelphia coins in this era typically did, its composition of copper-nickel clad instead of silver marks a turning point in U.S. numismatic history, as 1965 was the first year when the U.S. stopped minting quarters with 90% silver due to rising metal costs. As such, the 1966 quarter, minted in enormous numbers, over 821 million pieces, is not rare in circulation, yet it is rich in historical context and symbolic value. It represents a bridge between old and new, between the tangible economy and the intangible ideals of freedom, equality, and brotherhood. It was a coin used in the pockets of those who protested, voted, marched, and rebuilt America in the shadow of great social change. While collectors today may not find great monetary worth in its standard form, a pristine MS-67 or higher grade specimen certified by PCGS or NGC may fetch a premium, particularly those with strong luster, full details, and nowhere its value, however, lies not just in its metal or rarity, but in the story it tells, in echo of a nation's philosophical evolution. By invoking the values of liberty, fraternity, and imagining the quarter as a relic from the fictional utopia République lagrifule, we breathe life into its metal, a reminder that even small coins can be monuments to humanity's highest ideals. The next up top to the 1970 quarter dollar of the United States of America is far more than a mere piece of metal or monetary unit. To the informed observer, collector, or historian, it offers a rich tapestry of symbolism that echoes the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, the same triumvirate that underpins not only the French Revolution but the very essence of democratic governance worldwide. At the forefront of the quarter's obverse front, we find the iconic portrait of George Washington, the revered first president of the United States, whose stoic gaze represents a nation founded on the principle of freedom. His presence is not only nationalistic, but deeply symbolic. He is the embodiment of liberty. In this portrayal, Washington is not wearing a crown nor any militaristic insignia, but is shown as a citizen leader, echoing the Republican ideal that no man is above the law, a sentiment shared with the Enlightenment vision of republic where sovereignty resides with the people. Surrounding his portrait is the word liberty boldly struck above his head, a constant reminder that liberty is the cornerstone of the American identity. The inclusion of the phrase, "In God we trust," just to the left of his chin introduces a metaphysical dimension to the ideals of the Republic, implying that the liberty granted to man is not just a legal structure, but a divine right. Below Washington's bust is the date 1970. A significant period in American and global history. The early 1970s were fraught with civil rights movements, anti-war protests, and a reevaluation of political, racial, and gender dynamics. The quarter minted during this time, then, is not simply currency but a silent witness to history, a reflection of a society grappling with egalite in its truest form. Just as the French Revolution sought to demolish social classes and promote equal rights, the America of the 1970s was battling to extend civil liberties to all its citizens. This lends the coin an added aura, a historical marker embedded with the energy of social justice. Turning to the reverse of the 1970 quarter, we find the majestic eagle, wings outspread in dominant posture, holding arrows in its talons, signifying readiness to defend liberty, and an olive branch beneath it, indicating a desire for peace. This imagery echoes fraternity, the concept that unity and shared national identity bind the people together. The eagle is not just an American symbol, it is a mythological creature of strength and foresight. Here, it represents the unity and vigilance required in a free society. Above the eagle's head reads United States of America, declaring sovereignty, while just beneath that, the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, evokes the Republican spirit of fraternity among diverse states and peoples. It is a core American ideal, not far from the French notion of brotherhood, despite different backgrounds, languages, ethnicities, and histories. The citizens are one in the spirit of the Republic. The denomination quarter dollar sits at the bottom in large, firm lettering, but its value is far greater than 25 cents. It encapsulates the economic trust of a nation. The strength of a currency lies not only in metal or mint, but in the people's belief in their nation. The 1970 quarter thus becomes a token of national fraternity, circulating hand to hand across all classes, races, and regions. It touches the rich and poor alike and becomes a democratic equalizer. When one overlays these American symbols with the French revolutionary ideals of liberté, egalite, fraternité, the coin becomes a bridge across ideologies and time. Though not inscribed directly on the coin, these French ideals live through every element of its design. The concept of republic, wherein all citizens are equal under law, is evident in the egalitarian symbolism of Washington's civilian image and the democratic dispersion of the quarter itself. The allegorical reference to La Griffoule, a famed French medalist known for integrating philosophy and symbolism into metalwork, resonates in the artistic balance of the coin. Though La Griffoule himself did not design this coin, the reference here is symbolic, comparing the aesthetic intention of American mint design with La Griffoule's ideals. Each line, feather, and letter is chosen not just for visual balance but for symbolic weight. The eagle's feathers are carefully detailed, not just as naturalistic art but as representations of layered protection symbolizing the complexity of democratic governance. This quarter was struck at two primary mints, Philadelphia no mint mark and Denver marked with AD. The absence or presence of a mint mark provides a further layer of symbolic geography, illustrating the reach and unity of the American Republic across its continental landscape. The coin is composed of cupronickel copper nickel clad around a core of pure copper, signifying strength wrapped in durability. This metal blend reflects the diversity of the American people, different origins but alloyed together for structural integrity. In philosophical context, this small round disc becomes a canvas of ideological convergence, Washington's integrity, liberty, the social awakening of the 1970s, equality, and the eagle's embrace of unity and vigilance. Fraternity form a triad that aligns beautifully with the French values. If one were to hold this coin in their palm and close their eyes, they might feel not only its metallic weight but the burden and promise of the ideals it symbolizes. The 1970 quarter does not speak with words, yet it communicates volumes of struggle and triumph, of war and peace, of unity and division. It is both an object of everyday life and a capsule of cultural philosophy. Its circulation among millions of hands is a metaphor of shared national experience, a kind of modern-day philosopher's stone that turns ideology into practicality, dreams into daily exchange. And in that, the coin fulfills the destiny of all true republics, to transform abstract values into lived realities. The next up, top 3, the 1974 United States quarter dollar is more than a piece of currency. It is a miniature testament to the enduring ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, though these principles are more explicitly attributed to the French Revolution and not officially part of American mottos. Nevertheless, when one gazes upon the obverse of the 1974 quarter bearing the iconic profile of George Washington, the commanding yet humble father of the nation, the connection to liberty becomes immediately apparent. Inscribed boldly above his head is the single, powerful word, liberty, a keystone of the American Republic and a foundational concept drawn from Enlightenment philosophy, shared with France's own revolutionary ethos of liberté, égalité. Fraternité, the 1974 quarter, struck in copper-nickel-clad composition, marks a period when America was reeling from Vietnam, facing political uncertainty with the looming Watergate scandal, and redefining national values. This coin, common in circulation, carries the silent resilience of a people in transition, preserving tradition while unknowingly standing on the brink of transformation. On the reverse, the eagle, wings spread and talons clutching olive branches, reminds us of strength tempered by peace, an embodiment of unity over division, evoking the fraternal spirit inherent in democratic symbolism. United States of America arches over the eagle, unifying the land under one flag and constitution, while E pluribus unum out of many, one closely echoes the idea of fraternity, solidarity, and integration, resonating with the same brotherhood ideal found in French revolutionary slogans. The term République, while not standard, invokes an artistic reimagination of a shared civic order, perhaps a hybrid between République, a stylized reference to republic, and digital era symbolism hinting at an emergent consciousness about identity, statehood, and participation in governance. When seen through this interpretive lens, the quarter becomes not merely currency but a coded tablet of democratic code, a republican sigil of equality under law, civic duty, and mutual respect. The artist Lagerfeuille, fictional in this context, but reflective of French medallic traditions such as the real-world engraver Pierre Lagerfeuille, evokes a deeper metaphor where the artist's hand translates national ideals into minted symbolism. Imagine Lagerfeuille as an allegorical engraver of universal ideals, one who bridges continents and centuries, infusing American quarters with European revolutionary passion, creating an ideological alloy durable as the coin's copper-nickel core. The 1974 quarter is thus transformed into a silent ambassador of global republicanism, a metal vessel passing from hand to hand, whispering of common cause, dignity, and the tension between personal freedom and collective responsibility. At its core, this coin is a reflection of the human journey toward fairness and order, a circular monument to the enduring dream of liberty for all. Though millions of 1974 quarters were minted and circulated without fanfare, each carries the weight of a republic's legacy and the hope of its future. In this view, it becomes not just a piece of monetary exchange, but a minted memory of values that transcend borders, the liberty of Washington, the equality in legal representation, and the fraternity built in shared struggles, all encapsulated in a single, palm-sized relic from the twilight of the 20th century. The next up top for the 1982 quarter dollar is more than a coin. It is a symbol of a nation's heritage, a miniature canvas of ideology, economy, politics, and unspoken cultural philosophies. Issued by the United States Mint in Philadelphia notably. The first-year quarters from the Philadelphia Mint bore a visible P mint market encapsulates a unique transitional era for American coinage. The quarter features the timeless portrait of George Washington, the founding father, military general, and first president of the United States. Sculpted originally by John Flanagan, this left-facing bust has graced the quarter since 1932, marking Washington's 200th birthday. However, its presence in 1982 is especially symbolic due to the economic and socio-political context of the time. The year 1982 came in the midst of a recession, marked by soaring inflation, rising unemployment, and a restructuring of America's manufacturing base. The U.S. Mint ceased producing uncirculated coin sets that year, reflecting budgetary constraints, thus making coins like the 1980 to be quarter even more collectible. But its significance stretches beyond economics. Philosophically, the inscriptions and motifs reflect deep-rooted democratic ideals. On the obverse, the word liberty is boldly inscribed above Washington's head. More than a national motto, liberty is a principle enshrined in the Declaration of Independence and Constitution, and in the coinage it takes physical form, silently, urging every citizen to safeguard the freedoms it represents. Liberty, in this context, is not simply freedom from oppression, but the active participation in the democratic process. Underneath the bust lies the date 1982, situating the coin within the broader historical arc of American resilience. Flanked to the right is the Philadelphia Mint Mark P, a small letter with major meaning. This P was never placed on quarters before 1980s, and its inclusion on the 1982 coin represents a modernization of mint practices, as well as a subtle nod to regional identity. The Philadelphia Mint, founded in 1792, is the oldest mint in the United States and a cornerstone of American numismatics. Surrounding the reverse of the coin is the inscription, United States of America Ante Pluribus Unum, Latin. For out of many, one, this phrase emphasizes unity in diversity and serves as a counterpart to the French Republican motto Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité Liberty, equality, brotherhood. The American ideal of federal unity and democratic representation closely mirrors the French Revolution's egalitarian aspirations. While liberty appears directly on the coin, equality and fraternity are more subtly symbolized through national institutions and shared civic responsibility. The reverse side features an eagle, wings outstretched, grasping a bundle of arrows, a universal emblem of preparedness, protection, and power. Below it rests an olive branch, peace through strength. These two elements together, arrows and olive branch, are reflective of dualism in diplomacy, the balance between war and peace, force and conciliation. When we introduce the concept of republic typically associated with French Republican ideals, we enter a symbolic realm that transforms the coin from mere currency into a philosophical artifact. Republic, in this interpretive framework, doesn't just denote a government system, but a society governed by rule of law, civic virtue, and public service. If the coin were interpreted through a Lagerfeld-style lens inspired by Pierre-André Lagerfeld, the French engraver responsible for many Republican-style coin motifs, it would emphasize strong linear forms, allegorical gestures, and humanist themes. One could imagine the eagle on the U.S. quarter taking on a more abstract, stylized posture reminiscent of Lagerfeld's Marianne, an embodiment of liberty, the republic, and strength through unity. Within that artistic context, the 1980 to P quarter dollar becomes a metaphysical bridge between old-world republicanism and modern constitutional democracy. The coin's metallic surface, composed primarily of copper nickel clad over a pure copper core, echoes the working-class ethos of the republic. A blend of metals, like a blend of people, bound together by shared purpose. Unlike coins made of silver or gold, these metals are not rare. They represent the everyday citizen, enduring and adaptable. Furthermore, the very act of exchange, the quarter used in hands of millions for goods and services, represents a ritual of civic engagement. Each transaction is a vote of confidence in the republic, a momentary interaction that reinforces the democratic principle of economic participation and mutual trust. The idea of fraternity is found here not in word, but in action. Every coin exchanged in trust reflects a society held together by invisible bonds of community, cooperation, and law. The reverse's eagle is also a sentinel of American sovereignty. Perched with poise and command, its inclusion harks back to Roman Republican iconography, yet its execution is uniquely American. The eagle holds not laurels, but arrows signaling vigilance, yet peace is not forgotten. The motto E Pluribus Unum, flying above it like a silent banner in the sky, encapsulates the aspirational nature of unity. It mirrors the fraternity expressed in the French Trinity, brotherhood not by blood, but by shared values and mutual respect. If we interpret the quarter through socio-political symbology, The coin becomes an everyday document-to-pocket constitution carried unknowingly by millions. It reminds us of national values, liberty that guarantees our rights, equality that demands fair treatment, and fraternity that binds us in shared fate. The quarter thus becomes a citizen of the republic, a metallic echo of its peoples. Well-worn edges and circulated conditions symbolize experience and age, not depreciation, much like the democratic project itself, which ages but persists through generations of challenge and renewal. From numismatic perspective, the 1980 to P quarter is also noteworthy for mint errors and die varieties. Due to the economic constraints of the era, machines ran longer without maintenance. Plankets were sometimes poorly struck or slightly off-center imperfections that collectors now value as historical scars. These anomalies are symbolic, too. They show that even institutions driven by precision and order can bear imperfections yet still fulfill their purpose. Much like democracy, it's not perfect, but constantly evolving. In essence, the 1980 to P quarter dollar is not just an instrument of commerce. It is a vessel of ideals, from liberty etched above Washington's stoic gaze, to the symbolic eagle representing vigilance and unity, to the subtle echoes of eaglite and fraternity. This coin is an artifact of national memory. And in interpreting it with the philosophical weight of republic and artistic abstraction of l'agraful, we see that even the humblest quarter contains an entire worldview etched in metal, carried in pockets, and exchanged by hands that together form a people. The next up, top 5, the 1983 P quarter dollar minted in Philadelphia holds far more than monetary value. It encapsulates layers of symbolism rooted in both American constitutional tradition and universal human ideals, as echoed by the powerful triad of liberty, eaglite, fraternity. This iconic motto, famously French in origin, resonates with American values as embodied on the quarter's obverse and reverse. The obverse of the coin features the dignified bust of George Washington, the first president of the United States, symbolizing leadership founded on liberty and democratic ideals. His stoic expression suggests the burden of duty and the enduring struggle to uphold national unity and justice. The word liberty, boldly inscribed above his portrait, is a clear invocation of individual freedom, a core tenet of both the American Revolution and the Enlightenment philosophies that inspired the French Revolution. On the bottom, the date, 1983, marks not just the year of minting, but also serves as a historical anchor to a time of Cold War tensions, social evolution, and economic transformation in the United States, a period when the very notions of freedom and equality were being tested domestically and abroad. The letter P, denoting the Philadelphia Mint, reinforces the birthplace of American democracy, where the Declaration of Independence was signed, adding yet another layer to the coin's libertarian symbolism. Turning to the reverse side, we see the emblematic American bald eagle, wings spread and clutching a bundle of arrows, perched confidently on an olive branch. This powerful imagery captures the delicate balance between peace olive branch and defensive strength arrows, reflecting a republic's role in both diplomacy and national security. Surrounding the eagle is the phrase United States of America and quarter dollar, affirming sovereignty and economic identity, while the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, reinforces the theme of unity amidst diversity, akin to fraternity, the spirit of brotherhood. Though the phrase liberté, eaglite, fraternity doesn't appear explicitly on the coin, the principles are embedded in the national symbolism. Liberty is personified in the figure of Washington and the historical roots of Philadelphia. Eaglite equality finds its echo in the guaranteed value of the quarter, equal under economic law for all citizens. Fraternity brotherhood is reflected in the eagle's posture of strength tempered by peace, a defender of the common good. Delving deeper into allegory, the term epoblique, though seemingly abstract, can be understood as a fusion of electronic or eternal and republic, suggesting the timeless, digital echo of civic values through generations. In a modern context, this 1983 coin becomes an artifact of the evolving American epoblique, a republic that lives not only in laws and institutions, but also in currency, in art, and in collective memory. Here enters the symbolic figure, of Lagerfeuille, possibly a mythical or artistic pseudonym representing the engraver's unseen hand, the metaphorical artist of the Republic, crafting visual narratives on small canvases of metal. Lagerfeuille symbolizes every silent craftsman of democracy: the mint worker, the artist, the civil servant whose efforts ensure the continuity of the Republic's ideals in everyday life. Even though the actual engraver of the Washington Quarter was John Flanagan, the imagined presence of Lagerfeuille gives voice to the universal artist who imprints collective philosophy onto material culture. In this way, the 1983 quarter dollar serves not merely as a 25-cent piece but as a miniature manifesto of values shared across republics. It stands at the crossroads of economic utility and ideological expression. Amid the physical and metallic patina, the coin still proclaims its ideals: liberty as the foundation, equality as the system, brotherhood as the goal. Its circulation becomes a democratic ritual, a passing of values from hand to hand, generation to generation. Thus, even in its humble size, the 1983 quarter speaks loudly of the American spirit and its kinship with the French Revolutionary motto. In the hands of the people, it becomes both a tool and a testimony, a silent witness to the everyday enactment of the eternal Republique.